Hi, I'm Lucy Tippich and I'm going to be doing a tutorial on button quail. Today we are going to be going over what are button quail, their care, and are they a good pet for you. So first off, what are button quail? So a lot of people think they're quail because they have quail in their name, but it turns out they're actually in a small family of bird called tourniquet. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. They are very sweet birds. They come in many different colors and they are very close. They're not very domesticated. So they're going to be a lot like the wild button quail you could see. Also, there are different types of button quail. So when you look up button quail, you might not be seeing the ones you're going to get as pets, but rather a different species. Care. So first off, this is what you'll need to feed them. Their main food is going to be, I would recommend NutriWise unmedicated chick starter. Now, this has 18% protein, which they need a lot of protein, and they seem to like this. Especially emphasis on non-medicated, because medicated chick starter is going to be very bad for your button quail. What else you can feed them? You can grind up turkey feed, which is high in protein. As long as it's not medicated, it will work as well. And game bird feed, which is very high in protein. I've never tried it because it only comes in big bags and I live in a small house. But emphasis on make sure it is non-medicated. Second off, more protein. I would recommend, this is a 10-pound bag of wild bird feed. They seem to really enjoy this. It's Pennington, and they seem to really enjoy it. And it comes in a nice bag. I think this bag is something like $6, which it's lasted them ever since I've had them. So they don't eat as much. They don't eat a lot, so your food will last you a long time, even though it's expensive at first. Treats and more protein. I recommend really any brand of dried mealworms or live. They love live, but they are kind of gross, and having them live you have to care for them, which I would rather just buy the dried ones, this is a $6 bag, and it seems like a lot, but they do last you a while. And this has a lot of protein, and you can't give them very much though because it's a treat. Now, if you have a female and a male pair, you can either have female pairs, male pairs, although I would not recommend female pairs, but if you have a male pair, that's okay. They'll be happier as a male and female. If you have a female, you're going to have to give her oyster shell. Now, I would recommend Purina. This is, I think, maybe a $7 bag, which has lasted me a long time, and it's made of oyster shells. And also, normally, if you have two male pairs, you're going to need to buy grit, which is a ground up granite to help them digest. But this oyster shell, it's more expensive, but it doubles. The male will eat it too as grit. So, next, what you're going to need for them to live in. I would recommend a large aquarium. Mine is 50 gallon. I would recommend nothing under 30 gallons because that will be very small. They won't be very happy. Here's a picture of my 50-gallon aquarium, and I would say anything 35 gallons or above is a good sized tank for them. You're also, when they're young, if you raise them from an incubator, they're going to need a heat lamp. And also you're going to need parakeet feeders and waters, which I'll show you a picture of here. And you might want a treat dish for their mealworms and their oyster shell. And yeah. Also, they really need something to feel safe in. Here's a picture right here of a little house that I made them, which is just made out of birch. I cut off rotten birch, or really any bark would work, not cedar. Cedar's poisonous. And I took off the bark, and then I just cut a hole, glue it together. And then I just made a roof out of a cardboard circle, and I put pine cone. I tore apart a pine cone and made shingles out of pine cone. They love this. She lays her eggs in them, and they seem to love it a lot. I also have a big bark log in there with different holes that they can run through, which they love that also. Bedding. I'll show you a picture here. This is the bedding you're going to need. This is pine shavings. I buy most of my button quill supplies from North 40. I'd recommend it. They seem to have very good prices, and the pine shaving bag will last you forever, and it cost about $4 for a big compound bag. Also, you're going to need about this thick bedding in the bottom. Here, I'll put that. This is probably about, I'd recommend 4 to 5 inches of bedding. They like to dust bathe in the bedding. They will dig under it. They really love to dig and stuff, and they seem to really enjoy about 4 to 5 inches of bedding. How often are you gonna need to clean your tank? This is a question I get a lot. Although you'll hear different, I would recommend cleaning once per month. Depending on if they spill water, you're gonna need to clean it because it will get moldy, which will really bother your quail. Also, when you put the pine shavings in, you're going to want to have, I would say, a 10-gallon tank just to put them in while you are cleaning their tank. And then also, their bedding will have to set. If you just shake it around and let it sit, because the smell will really bother them. Also, if you're having a female and male pair, they will most likely go broody and try to hatch out some chicks. I highly recommend letting them do this. If you don't have a place for the chicks, then just take her eggs away. And if you do, though, they seem to really enjoy hatching them out. Hatching out their chicks should take 16 to 24 days, although I've heard of 28. I let her sit on her eggs till 30 days, and then if they don't hatch out, take them away. And I'd highly recommend doing what's called an egg topsy, where you crack open the egg and see what went wrong with the chick. It could be not fertilized, several things. And you can't expect her to hatch out chicks unless she's with a male, for sure. These birds are very sweet. They like to sit by each other and groom each other, which is really cute. And they are not as tame as most pet birds. They don't exactly start getting tame until they're usually about a year old, and that requires a lot of handling. Can they fly? Even though you'll hear different, they can fly. They don't have a tail, but they can fly 100 feet into the air. They have good enough wing that they can flap, and believe me, they will get away. You'll want to clip their wings, which if you'd like to see a tutorial on that, I'll do one. Just leave a comment. Thanks. Also, please remember to subscribe. Okay. So we've talked about their care. We've talked about the button quill herself. Oops, sorry. There's one thing I forgot. You're going to need to clip their toenails, which I can do a tutorial on that also. If you just leave a comment if you want one, and I will be sure to put a video up. Thanks. But are they a good pet for you? This is a question a lot of people ask. I love my button quill. They are a good pet for people who love birds but don't exactly want the mess of a parrot or the care of parrots or parakeets or budgies. They cannot talk. They are not like a parrot, but they are very fun to watch. They're about this big. They're just palm sized, and they in a aquarium, they don't make a mess. Whereas normal birds, you have bird seeds and feathers and their poop everywhere. In a cage, in a vast aquarium, they they can't make a mess really. Only you can when cleaning out the cage. You also need a wire or screen top for them. I highly recommend a top that opens on both sides with a hinge in the middle because they like to jump out, and they will if they have the chance. This also really helps if you clip their wings. I would highly recommend these pets for apartments, housing, or even if you just want an inside pet. One of the cons, they can be loud at times. The male will make a howling sound, and that sometimes happens. That's usually only for a certain amount of time, especially when they're young. They usually stop when they get older, and that's really only in the spring. So you will have to be tolerant of a little bit of noise. But if you had a parrot or parakeet, it'd be the same, except for button quail are only loud some of the time, and parakeets and parrots are loud most of the time. I would highly recommend having a light. It doesn't have to be a heat lamp, but just a light, and you'll want to set that maybe on a timer if you're gone because they will lay and not lay depending on the light because of the seasons. Another thing about if they're right for you is you can't get your feelings hurt if they're terrified of you because for a while they will be absolutely terrified of you. They will run, hide, they are hard to catch. That's why you have to handle them a lot after you clip their wings. Another thing to be careful of is they beat their wings too hard. They can make them bleed and they can badly injure themselves. Another reason to clip their wings is if they jump up and fly too high, they can kill themselves hitting their head. They have a very fragile neck and very strong flying and jumping. That's one of the reasons I recommend a screen top for the cage because when they're younger they like to jump up when they're scared and they can kill themselves or or injure themselves. Okay, so we've heard about what are button quail, their care, and are they the right pets for you. One of the things about are they right pets for you is what do you want in a pet. You may see videos of very tame ones, and they can be very tame, but you have to wait a while. It takes patience. At first you might think your birds hate you, but it's just their instincts from the wild. They are supposed to run and hide and jump because they don't want to get eaten. It's nothing personal, so I would not take it personally. If you'd like to see a video, here's a link to a video of my button quail Galaxy. He's a male blue-breasted. And if you would like, I'll take a video of my hen. She's a female cinnamon red-breasted mutation, and she is a very good layer. Also, their eggs are edible, and they are very delicious. I just recommend washing them first. So, like and subscribe. If you'd like to see another video, leave a comment. I'll try to do another video next week. Just tell me what you want. Thank you. Bye.